Hey, what's up, everyone? Ruben here, Kendra Dog PDX. This here is our question of the day. We've had a small little hiatus from this, but we are going to start that back up again. And so here's a fresh new question. Here it is. Hello, we have a 10-month-old Border Collie mix. He is very shy and nervous around meeting new people. He was barking and lunging at other dogs, but with some work from me, he no longer does that. Very nice. He and our older dog have gotten into fights over rawhide, which we don't give them anymore. When he was very young, he had bitten me and my husband when we tried to take a high-value treat. We have since learned the trade method, and that behavior hasn't occurred since. I would like to see him calmer in the house without barking at dogs or people walking by. No more pulling on the leash when we go for walks. Just a more well-mannered dog. All right, thanks for the question. So we're gonna just break this up into a couple of parts so we can just answer each one separately. So I think that's great that with some work from you, he's no longer barking and lunging at other dogs. Very nice work. So you mentioned he's gotten into fights with your older dog over rawhide bones, which you don't give anymore. I think that's good idea. For one, just rawhide bones aren't good for dogs anyways. So just in general, for anyone who's watching, they expand in the dog's stomach and they can be very problematic that way. And then I've also just been reading about chews and things like that. And, we used to give our dogs elkhorn bones and things. But I think you also have to watch those because of the bone density could actually grind down your dog's teeth because their teeth aren't as hard as the bone. I just read that online. Watch your dog. So with that in mind, we've started giving our dogs bully sticks more often because they're softer. They can really chew on them. And I think it mitigates that possibility of grinding their teeth down, which can lead to, just more dental issues down the road. Okay. You mentioned, he had bitten you and your husband when you would try to take a high value treat away, but you have since learned the trade method. So, I think that's great that you've seen stuff work, but I would also be careful with that because resource guarding is a state of mind issue. And what are we trading him for? Another high value thing. So is it like, are we actually rewarding that state of mind of being a resource guarder? Now, I would probably take this a different way with teaching the dog an out command so that if I give them a bone or their food bowl or, something like that, I can out the dog away from that item and then go and pick it up myself, right? Because he can't guard it when they actually physically and mentally move away from the objects. And we're not talking about you're giving it to them and they're over it and then you say out and then they just like spit it out, but they're standing right above it. That's not good enough. They can definitely still have that feeling that they're going to guard that specific item. So we would want to teach them an out command so that they actually move away from that stuff. And that could transfer into a bunch of other things. A stick could be a high value item to the dog. If he's, out in the woods and he picks it up, he's like, this is mine. And then you go to try to take it from him and then they get snarky from it. Then, if they have this out command, you can just say out and they drop it and then they move away from it. And then we can just keep doing what we are doing. So I would watch that trade stuff. I've heard about it in the past. We don't do that. It's just teach them the out command. I don't need to bribe you with something better to get this thing away. Okay. I think that just could be feeding into that overall mindset of how the dog feels about items that they value. Okay. And then, you mentioned, I'd like to see a calmer dog in the house without barking at dogs or people walking by. No more pulling on the leash when we go for walks. Just a more well-mannered dog. So, having them calmer in the house. If you're watching our videos, teach them the place command. That is a job for the dogs. You mentioned here you have a Border Collie mix. That is definitely a working type breed. Whatever they're mixed with, regardless, like there's Border Collie in there, working type dog. We would teach them place command. That is our version of what we call city jobs for, this guy, I guess, would be considered a country dog. He needs work. So teach him the place command. Now we are giving him something to do. If he's barking out the window and such like that, it's typical that he's probably just roaming around the house freely as he chooses, and he goes by the window, sees the dog, bark, 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 bark. They leave the window. He feels reinforced because his barking made that go away. And the same thing would go with people. They come into the frame, bark, bark, bark. They leave the frame. He stops. Hey, you know what? I got that thing to go away. Kudos to me, right? So he's just reinforcing himself with that. So we can be a little bit more proactive by teaching him the place command and actually blocking that behavior altogether. And then as we continue to do that, we perhaps will stop that habit and actually create a new habit, and then that thing doesn't even exist anymore. The other thing would be is utilizing a comprehensive training program where he learns what good, yes, and nope means, so that when he does have that ability to free roam around the house and he starts that up, you can say nope, correct it, and then be done with it. Okay? But we like the place command because that sets the stage for the dog to be successful, rather than just correcting the dog and maybe he doesn't really understand why he's getting corrected, and then what he should do after the fact. Okay? Let's see here. No more pulling on the leash, so I don't know what kind of tools you're using, but we would utilize a tool that allows us to control the head. Okay? So we utilize Hermspranger prong collars. You could even look at a slip lead. Slip leads can be a little bit more challenging, but a Hermspranger prong collar fitted correctly up high behind the ears at the top of the neck is going to give you the most control over the dog's head. So if he's looking over here, you can apply leash pressure in the opposite direction. His head turns away, good boy, and we can continue moving on. Utilizing that tool, we would want to be doing some conditioning with it, teaching him what this tool means, how he turns it on, how he turns it off, and developing a language around this tool. But and then you're going to want to start in calmer areas, teach him what the heel means, what that looks like, and then progressively up the distractions, getting him around these triggers. If he's been pulling on the leash for a while, you might just want to start slow and then successively work your way up to higher distraction areas. And we have videos on our webpage on how to introduce this tool and how to start that process of getting your dog acclimated to the prong collar. Another thing too would be trying to go into e-collar training, because that's also just going to make your life so much easier, and you're going to have the benefit of off leash control. The e-collar is just just an invisible leash, but then you're going to have that reliability that you want. So then you don't really have to worry about, I'm going to take my dog off leash and I know 100% that I can get them back no matter what. So you want a more well-mannered dog. It really comes down to rules, boundaries, structure, discipline, consequences for bad choices, teaching the dog what you want them to do. Mostly that, and he's 10 months old, so it's like he's still a very young dog. So this is that time in his life where you really want to be giving them a ton of information so that when they become an adult dog, this stuff is not new to him and he's just been practicing it for a long time. And then this way you just have a dog that you can live the next 10 years with, 10, 12, 13 years with, without having to be stressed out or worry about what ifs or anything like that. He's just going to know what he's supposed to be doing. Okay, so this is a great little question to start this whole question of the day back up. You can look for this on our YouTube page. Won't be able to put it on the IG stories because it's over 10 minutes. So definitely subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, so you can see what we're doing on a daily basis, get tips, strategies for things, see what we're doing with other dogs. And we will see you all next time. Enjoy the rest of the day.